I am Cindi Pichler. I'm the Senior Assistive Technology Specialist here at Independence First.
I'm Mark Smeiska. I'm an Assistive Technology Specialist here at Independence First for the last 8 years, but this will be my last time with you guys because I am retiring by next spring.
Yeah, we're crying. And
I'm Dean Blackwell. I'm an Assistive Technology Specialist here at Independence First. This is my 1 month anniversary. So
yeah, this
only
is
been a month. So
this is Dean's first ALS group and Mark's last ALS group. So yeah, you guys are lucky. Independence First is an independent living center, and we work with people who have disabilities to live as independently as possible. The three of us work in the assistive technology program, and so we work with folks to identify and obtain adaptive equipment. We do this presentation pretty much every year for, gosh, I want to say 25 or 30 years now. And what we do is we're just trying to present the fact that there's options. There's lots and lots and lots of equipment out there. Some of it's good, some of it's not. And you always are welcome to come here and try equipment. A lot of our equipment can be checked out on a library kind of system so that you can try it at home under realistic circumstances. We also have an equipment reuse program, very similar to the one operated by the ALS Association, where we recycle used equipment. We give it away free to people who could not otherwise obtain the equipment. And we have that on our website. And Mary, I'm going to be sending you a list of all of the equipment that we're talking about today. And it's going to include where we got it and how much we paid for it. So prices may have changed depending on how old the devices are. And then it will also contain information on whether or not there might be funding available to assist with paying for the equipment and what that funding is.
That'll be great. And I'll
Yeah.
send that out along with the other information from today. Thank you.
Yeah, we were just kind of updating the equipment this week because, well, some of it we've seen already and some of it's new. So we were just updating the list, and I'm not quite done. I'm almost there. So we'll get started. And Mark, you want to take away the transfer aids section here? I'm just going to turn the camera around, and as soon as I figure out where the camera icon is, where is it? There it is. Okay. There we go. Take it away, Mark.
This is
Talk loudly.
this is a overhead lift. They have different types. This is actually a portable one. This is so it's freestanding. It can go into a room and be used. It can also be moved if you wanted to. There is ceiling lifts with the same idea that actually attached to the ceiling. Those are permanent. So there's different availability. This particular one is made that it can be easily taken apart and moved to a different location. It gives you the ability to do it.
Wait a minute. Can you hear us now? Is that better? Okay. Sorry about that.
But this a lift that could help the person, you can help the person get up and move, in this case, between their wheelchair, and you could actually move them over to their bed. So it'd be something you use in the morning and evening kind of thing. But there's a lot of different slings that we have, and they each have advantages and disadvantages. This particular sling we found actually was quite comfortable, and they get nice head support, and it's actually adjustable, so you can have different types of support for your legs and hip, depending on how you put these straps. But there is a number of other slings that we have here. Some of the other ones, this is actually a bathing sling, so it's made of a mesh material, so you can use it to get somebody in and out of the bath. This is the sling that we all found was the worst for us when we all tried this. This is a toileting sling. It does not give you any support underneath. It's behind, it's under your legs and around your back. So it does have tendency to be very uncomfortable. We found that anytime we did simulate that we didn't have good trunk support, we started sinking down into it and found it very uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is Cindy. I actually ended up with what amounted to second-degree burns under my arms just because when I simulated no trunk support, I started to slip. And just the shear from the sling cut into my arms to the point where it was extremely painful and I was very bruised for a couple of days.
Do you guys have a suggestion of one that you'd recommend for the toilet?
We haven't found a good toileting sling yet. There really hasn't been one that we found. And there might be one out there. It's just the ones that we have. We have about 7 different slings. Yeah, there isn't a good one.
Many of the slings do leave you open underneath. So there are a number of different slings that would potentially work. The green one here that I showed you originally, that would not. But then a lot of these other slings do have the opening that it gives you more support in your back and stuff, but it is far enough ahead on you that it does give you the clearance for a toilet. That very well may be a better option, but you really need to make sure it is the right option for you.
Yeah.
Just to be aware that there's a lot of differences. The slings will have different things like handles on the sides or the back, and placement of those can make it harder or easier to help a person sitting down and getting them into a good sitting position. But that is something that you need to match up the right one. You just don't pick up any sling and expect it to work.
Yeah, we found that the slings that provided head support, supposedly, we ended up with our heads tipped pretty far back. So they were more comfortable. There was some support for the head, but we weren't getting like a pillow effect like we had been led to believe by the advertisement.
A lot of the slings have things like this where they have a lot of adjustments, where a lot of them do this where it's different colors. So when you're finding the right position for a person, you might find that like on the front strap, the purple one works best, but maybe on the blue strap for the back. So you can work on that. This positioning can make a huge difference there too. So.
Any questions about slings or that particular transfer device?
This is Herman. I have a self-supported lift like similar to that one in my bedroom, and all of my aides prefer that over the Hoyer lift. It just seems a lot easier. I have it positioned over the bed so that I will come in with my wheelchair on one side. I could be dropped in bed, or I could be put over to the other side where I could get on a shower chair or commode. So it's a very cool kind of arrangement that everybody likes. And like he noted, it can be moved. So I mean, we're going to rearrange my room a little bit, maybe next month, and we'll just pick up the lift and move it around a little bit. So it's kind of a cool device compared to a Hoyer lift.
And it's easier on caregivers. So, you know, if the caregiver has bad knees, bad back, bad shoulders, that kind of assistance makes it easier for the caregiver. And it's also frankly more comfortable for the person being transferred. So we're going to move on to another transfer device. We've had a number of folks referred here for sit-to-stand type lifts. This one is called an ETAC transfer turner. And I put my foot on this transfer turner to brace it. And then Mark is going to pull himself up. And I can now turn him, adjust the chair behind him, brace again, and he can sit down. So this is for helping somebody get out of one chair and into another. As you could see though, Mark needed to be able to stand himself up. And so it has, with ALS, it has a limited term of usefulness, but it is a nice device, again, for the caregiver, because there's just not that much stress. I'm gonna do the sit to stand next.
I got it, sit stand.
Now, this is a sit to stand lift, and therapists kind of like this for maintaining, I feel like Three Stooges here. Therapists kind of like this one for maintaining strength. They do make these where they will assist you with standing up to a degree by straps that go behind your backside. But this particular one, which you can buy on Amazon, again, you have to stand up, but you don't have to be able to support yourself for a very long time because there's actually a seat that can be flipped down. And now I'm fully supported, and as long as I have decent trunk control, I can be moved and placed in a better location. And in order to sit down, I now need to stand up, let Mark remove those pads that are used for seating, and then I can sit down. So again, both of these type of lifts do require that the person have some ability to stand themselves up. Gotta put the brakes on.
Yes, and you have to remember to take the brakes off.
That's right after remembering to put them on. That's really important. Now, there's a number of devices that we really like. Gonna try and move this up a little bit. Okay. Mark, you're too tall. There. Okay, go for it.
This is just a basic slide board. It's used to transfer between two places, a wheelchair and a seat or whatever. So this is something just to give you the ability to slide without, if somebody can't do a standing transfer or they need that extra support. This will just go right between, so the person, typically with assistance a lot of times, but it's just a way to slide from one seat to another. Problem with any type of slide board, there is shear that can injure the skin, because when you're sliding along, that can be hard on the body.
Clothing you wear can affect how easily you slide. Both of us are wearing denim today. That does not slide easily. So sliding boards are wonderful, but they have some limitations. So quite a while ago, a company called Beezy developed a sliding board with a Lazy Susan attachment to it. And it slides so much easier.
I'm not having to slide physically across that material. It actually slides pretty easily going back and forth. They make 3 different lengths. This is the medium length. This is the short one. And this is the long one. Depending on where you're using it, transferring in and out of a vehicle, most people end up needing like the long one. Transferring between 2 seats, one of the shorter ones will often work for a lot of people.
Beezies are typically covered by most insurance. Not necessarily, but they are typically covered by most insurance. What do you want, Liv? Should we do the ramps next? Okay.
Cheers here.
Can you clarify, was that easy, like the word easy, or VZ with a V
It was
like
like
Victor?
the word easy with the B in front of it. It's easy.
Got it.
And that's
Thank you.
exactly how it's spelled, BEASY.
This is basically a walker that you can use to help you stand up more. It actually has a little release handles here. You just lift them, goes down. So then you can use this to help stand up. Just lift it up and you use it like a regular walker. Other
Unless
than
you
my
knock the
tennis ball
tennis
doesn't
ball
want to
off.
stay on anymore. I need to steal some tennis balls from our dog. But it's called a U-Rise walker, and it's a nice thing to just help make it safer from getting up, whether it's from a seat, the toilet. It's a safety thing that can really make it a lot easier.
It's designed to fit around a toilet, and I have taken that, as a caregiver, I have taken that with me when we were going to people's homes. My mother has difficulty standing up, and that way we can, you know, help her into the bathroom at a home that she's a guest in, and she can get on and off the toilet safely.
These are something-
Cindy, excuse me, it's Maggie.
Hey, Maggie.
What's the name of that device?
Called a U-step, and letter U step, or U-Rise walker.
Thank you.
Yeah, and don't get it confused like I did, because the U-step walker is for people with Parkinson's. And it requires you to, you know, it's got like handbrakes on it, and you have to depress the handbrakes in order to move and let them go in order to stop. And that's a Parkinson's issue, and that would not be really cool for ALS. So yeah, it's U-Rise walker is the one that you showed.
I'll put the link in the chat for the walker.
Thank you.
These are just a couple of little things that we found earlier this year at the Abilities Expo. This is just a little piece that clips onto a wheelchair or a walker, and it's just made to be able to hang a purse or a bag on. It's just a convenient little thing. This is another little thing we found, and this is just something you can hold a water bottle with. Again, you're able to just slip it onto the walker or wheelchair. Way to carry a water bottle. Remember the names of those?
I do not, I could not find the names of them unfortunately, but both of them are 3D printed.
Yeah.
And so the company is, did not put their name on here, but it's a universal bottle clamp. And this is just a 3D printed device. So we just thought it would, you know, if you get a chance to go to the Abilities Expo, they usually hold it in somewhere between June, July, or August in Chicago. And you find a ton of these little helpful little doodads. And we got these two things, I think, for $10. So.
Okay, this is the display stand that we have that simulates 5 steps, going up the 5 steps to be able to get into a house, which is a pretty common number of steps that you see. What you have on this side is, this is an 8-foot track ramp. It is set up as if it's going up 5 steps. It's really steep, quite frankly. It'd be extremely dangerous, if not totally impossible, to get a wheelchair up there. But this is what we often see people trying to do with a portable ramp.
And we often see vendors trying to sell portable ramps to people in this situation. And that's really why we want to educate you about slope and ramps, because you're going to be vulnerable to some misinformation, and we want you to know what right is.
The other ramp here is, again, the 8-foot track ramp, but it's coming up what it really should come up, which is 8 inches. Because what you should have is 1 inch of rise should have you a foot of ramp. So for every inch of rise, so 8 inches of rise for that first step, that's 8 foot of ramp. We actually had somebody with ALS that were sold this 5 foot ramp to get up 5 steps, and she was supposed to do it herself. And the vendor sold it to her and then wouldn't take it back when it wouldn't work.
So she donated it to us under the promise that we would always tell people how bad it can get. This vendor totally misrepresented the situation to her and sold her a bad piece of equipment. So the smaller the ramp, the lighter it is. Now that one's about 25, right?
Yeah, 20, yeah, probably about 25.
Now, ramps start getting really useful around 8 feet. So Mark is going to show now an 8 foot portable ramp being deployed. Now, did you see all the work that he went through? Portable ramps are extremely vulnerable to theft. So we recommend strongly, because they have a very high recycle value, that they be only deployed when they're being used and not left in place. If you deploy it, go to the doctor and come home and hope your ramp is still going to be there, you may be disappointed.
Yeah, the only place you should really be leaving these out is if it's like in a garage or a fenced in backyard, somewhere where it's protected. You never want to leave these where they're a target where someone's gonna go, hey, that's, you know, a couple bucks worth of aluminum.
Now that ramp weighs 56 pounds. So for me, I could not use that ramp for my loved ones because it's simply too heavy for me to maneuver. They do make these ramps, these portable ramps, as long as 12 feet. And the 12 foot long ramps weigh 86 pounds. So again, portable ramps are a good idea. And for a lot of people, they make the difference between getting out and not getting out. They can be very helpful, but they also can be somewhat dangerous, and they can be hard on the caregiver. So just know what you're getting yourself into when you make the decision for portable ramps. Best place locally to get them is actually an online resource called discountramps.com. They're located in West Bend, but they do have some of the best prices.
You can rent them too, Cindy.
From some places, yes, you can. That's right. Thank you so much.
Could you tell me the name again of the place in West Bend?
Sure. Discountramps.com. And
Thank you.
they sell portable ramps, and they also sell modular ramps. And modular ramps are designed to stay up permanently, but they are typically not, they're not made of wood, they're made of aluminum or composite or something else. Chris?
I was just gonna say, for your family members, I love the fact that my son-in-law and other family members have gotten a portable ramp that works, so that if Tom would like to go visit, he has a way to get into their house instead of sitting in their garage, you know, or sitting out in the backyard. So yeah, the longer, the better. Yes.
Yeah, although I have 2 stairs at my house, and they're separated by an 8-foot porch. And I have 2 ramps. I have the threshold ramp that Mark's about to donate or demonstrate, and then I have a little 5 or 4-footer. And for just one burst of energy to get up the stairs is fine. My mother has a different form of muscular dystrophy called inclusion body myositis. It's the course is typical of ALS, but it's just much slower. So we push her up that stair, and I can do that in a small burst of energy. I wouldn't want to do that every day, but if she's coming over to visit, I can handle it. So they can be useful for, just making sure that we get into each other's homes.
Yeah, Tom has a power chair, so it's no problem.
Yeah, then it's easier if it's a power chair. If it's a caregiver, I typically let one of the grandchildren push mom up the ramp because frankly, they're younger than I am. So I let them do it. But
You
yeah,
also have to be, oh, go ahead, Beth.
Oh, I was just going to mention, is that the same discount ramps that's online that you can order online?
Yes.
Or is that different?
yes,
Same one.
you
Okay.
actually can't go to their showroom. They don't have a showroom there. They strictly do their business online. They just happen to be located in West Bend.
And I don't think they take returns. Is that correct?
I believe you are right, but
Yeah.
I am not going to swear to that.
The ones that I was looking at, I can't remember where else, and Amazon was another one, didn't take returns. But I was surprised to find Home Depot carries ramps.
Mm.
So not in their store, but you can order it online. And then you can, if it doesn't work, if it ends up being too short, like the one that I got, because I was trying to fit it in a smaller space, they take it back. So
Oh, good to know.
either send
Thank
it back by UPS or take it to the store.
Good to know. Thank you.
I just want to add one more thing. When Chris was talking about the weight of the power chair, think about the weight of the chair versus a manual chair. I mean, maybe a little movable ramp will work for a manual chair, but if you're going to be using a power chair, you need something very strong.
Yeah, we weighed my mom's chair. It was 400 pounds at our
Yep.
last ALS clinic, if that helps anybody.
Mhm.
It does. Thank you.
The weight capacity of the ramps does vary company to company and length. So you need to make sure that you do have an appropriate ramp for the situation that you have.
And the
Right.
weakest point of a ramp is the hinge. So that's always where you're looking to make sure that hinge is able to tolerate the weight you're putting on it. And in cases like with my mom, it's not just her and her wheelchair, it's her wheelchair and her assistant. So you calculate it based on all of that. Okay, Mark.
This is something that when you're using portable ramps or any ramp, as this is a little steeper, like Cindy was saying, which can be an issue. But if you're going a short distance, it might work. But in this case, I'm running into my footrests are dragging on the bottom. I turn my feet up a little bit. I can get up the ramp. But now if I came up to a ramp now and I needed to open a door, or even I had to wait for somebody to open the door, you don't want to be sitting here. You really, if at all possible, want a level platform right by the door that you can sit at without the threat of rolling away or anything else like that.
Okay. Just a couple of other entry devices. They're far from ideal, but they do serve a purpose.
This is a portable stair climber. Has weight limits, but this has a definite limit of 8 inches is the absolute maximum. You can't even do 8 1/4, 8 1/8. 8 inches is the absolute maximum step this could go up. But this, they have the person sitting in there. They also have a version that will take some of the manual chairs, but then you come up. And you go to the next step and continue on. Go down, it has a brake on it, so it won't go off the end of the step. And you go to the next step and go down. It is something, but it takes a lot of training. The person has to be comfortable in that situation. And we've had people that have tried to use it and they found it very scary.
We actually had a woman who decided after she saw that it was moving was a better option. She just felt she'd be too afraid going up and down the stairs on that. That is very expensive, and it requires an operator. Now, the one that Mark is showing you now is the bargain basement alternative to the expensive one. This one costs about half what the other one does. And what we found with this one is the other one, what is the blue one called, Mark? Or both brain farting at exactly the same time. This is not good.
The,
Stair assist something, okay, I'm gonna call them
lift car.
lift car, thank you, LIFTKAR. The lift car, the blue one, comes with a human being who will make sure that you don't injure yourself or anybody else when you're using it.
Yeah, you have to
Training
go through
is
a lot of training for this. It's not 5 minutes, this is hours
Hours.
of training. This one, they send you online, comes to your house, and you watch some videos.
they link you up to a YouTube video.
I found when I tried using this at my house, that the track on my wooden steps would actually slip a little bit, which made me very concerned, very worried about it. But you know, I gotta admit, I wasn't doing it. I was just doing it with a bag of dog food in it because I didn't want to torture my wife like I did when I had her ride in this one when I was practicing.
Yeah, that's love. He practiced on the lift car with his wife. I think she's a very brave woman. But the other thing I didn't like about the yellow one is that it has one speed and that's fast. I really felt like when I was operating it, like I wasn't really in control. Now the lift car seems a little slow, but the yellow one seems a little fast and there doesn't seem to be any type of mechanical lift in between. But
the lift car does have 3 speeds. We always have left it at the slow speed,
yeah,
just to make sure we're comfortable with it.
right. But the yellow one is a little fast and that can be a little uncomfortable for the person, well, for everybody. I was gonna say, but especially for the operator. Couple more architectural things that we wanna point out.
This is what's called a half step. It is basically a half a step. So you've got that single step you're trying to get up to a porch or something like that. You can put this in between and you have half of a typical step to go up. It can make the difference between, you know, getting in up, you know, up on a porch or into a door. That might still keep you, you know, going in where the other step would be maybe too much.
It's 4 inches,
And,
so it's literally half a step.
it's plastic, it's fairly lightweight, but it is actually pretty non-skid and stuff like that. It really does hold very nicely.
Now on to grab bars.
This is 2 different grab bars, but this one lifts up, and this is basically used so that you would have it like in a bathroom where you have one of those bathrooms at the toilet and the wall, there's a door right there. So you can't put a regular grab bar back there that sticks out far enough to reach. Well, this one, the door will be able to open in front of it, but when you close the door and you're sitting on the toilet, you just raise it up, locks in position, and then you can reach this and pull yourself up. And then it is a little tricky for some people, but you gotta push both buttons to release it and fold it down.
We're hesitant to recommend that one when the door is right there, because when it is deployed, it blocks the door. And if the user is at a risk for falling, that could obstruct the door and it could obstruct rescue. So it's not always ideal, but it is very helpful in some circumstances.
Then this here is the flip a grip. It is a handle that would be typically put on a door jamb where there's a single step and you need some extra support. This flips down where you can use this to grab as you're coming up and down to the door, and then it flips back up out of the way. This particular one is one of the earliest ones. The new ones actually are spring loaded, so it flips up automatically. So, but those are two different things that can be helpful. This is just a grab bar. It's actually made for a camper. It's lighted. You're not going to be able to see it in our situation here, but you might be able to see a little bit but that's lighted. But this could be used like, again, in a darker entryway or something like that, where you want a grab bar and you can see it then in the dark. It's kind of a neat little thing. It runs on low voltage, so it can run actually on the same power you run your doorbell on, kind of thing. So another grab bar, that kind of a neat idea. They made a grab bar to be decorative and be also your toilet paper dispenser. You don't have the grab bar that a lot of people don't want. The grab bar sitting there. This does look a little nicer, but it also works as a toilet paper. And one of the really nice things about this is because if you have a toilet paper dispenser, people have tendency to use it to get up and down. This gives you something solid instead of that thing that was never intended to hold the weight. This is a demonstration of door openings. Door openings are often a problem for getting a wheelchair through, especially, or a walker, either one. And sometimes it's just a matter of getting a little bit more through that doorway. Typical door, when it opens up, you have about 2 inches of lost space. So you have a 28-inch wide door, you now have only a 26-inch wide door. These are offset hinges, which take the hinge point, move it out. So when the door opens up, you have the full width of the door. So you have a 28-inch wide door. The only thing you have now is the door stops that are reducing that door width. So can be very helpful. This is just a little spring load that you can add to it, any door, regular door hinge, to have the door close automatically.
With the offset hinges, is it still beneficial for a door that's like tight to a wall traditionally? Like would the door handle just hit the wall instead of having that gap from the hinges then?
You do
That
have
makes sense.
clearance. One of the things with these, some doors are real close that there's hardly any trim there. So then, there's not enough room for that kind of a hinge.
Okay.
The door handle, even if it does hit the door or the wall, a lot of times it gets you past the door opening where you have a little bit more room. But the other thing you do have to be careful of is when the door opens up, because it's coming out, it does stick out 2 more inches into the room.
Mark, can you come a little closer with that so we can see it clear?
So here's it opening this way, but actually I'd probably open it this way. And this sticks about 2 inches further into the room than that does. And
The
that,
hinge now. Show us the hinges.
But see how what we want you to see right now is the difference in the doors.
Yeah.
And then he's going to turn it over and let you see the hinges.
Okay.
yeah, sometimes when you open up the door with this extension, these hinges on it, you do end up with, if the vanity happens to be right there, or another piece of wall, something, an obstruction, sometimes you can't use it. But these are the offset hinges compared to a regular hinge,
Okay. Thank you.
spring loaded hinge, which is really for a different type of situation altogether. But it's all on our display.
And if you want to see how they really look, you guys are always welcome to come down here. We do appointments, and as you can see, when we're in the presence of other people, we have a mask mandate here. Everybody is wearing masks. So, and we do maintain social distance, but if you really want to get your hands on this stuff and see it, you are always welcome.
It's Maggie. I can't say enough about how awesome Cindy and Mark have been on our 3 or 4 visits to the bathroom and larger room of all the furniture. It's just been so awesome for us to see the stuff. before we consider purchasing or rent.
And the thing that we love about you and Michael is you guys have come here and you've taken ideas and you've taken them about 10 steps further than we ever thought of. So
Thank you.
we're just gonna, I actually want to go over here next, Mark, and deal with some of these computer things because these are new. So you'll have to tell me how close I am. So if you can't use a traditional mouse, all right, one of the first things I encourage people to look at is a trackball. This happens to be a Kensington trackball, and you can use this with your hand, you can use it with a mouth stick, and this, you run the computer with the trackball just like you would with a standard mouse. This is nice, but not everybody can translate their movements to a trackball. So these two mice right here, and you'll have to tell me if I'm positioned correctly. These are called vertical mice. This one is a LECV mouse. This one is an Evoluent mouse, and I do not know why they make them have hard to pronounce and hard to spell names, but they do. They make these mice left or right-handed, and the thing that makes these so useful is rotating your hand downward is a very difficult movement. And sometimes if you can keep your hand in a more neutral position, you find you have a little bit more function. So both of these vertical mice, the LECV and the Evoluent, let you keep your hand in a more neutral position and run the mouse this way. They also make them in left-handed versions, so left-handed folks are not excluded like they are with some other mice. This one is called the penguin mouse, and it supposedly looks like a penguin. I think it looks kind of like a killer whale sticking its tongue out, but whatever. This one is designed to be ambidextrous. So if you are right-handed, but your right hand is more affected, you can buy this mouse and switch to your left hand later on and still use the same mouse without having to invest in another mouse device. This is called a contour mouse. And this one, you can actually rest your hands on the pads here. This is your scroll wheel. So this lets you navigate around the screen, and then your right and left click are right here. So for somebody who wants to mouse but can't move hands very well, you can literally operate this with just fingertip control. So this is kind of an interesting device too. Now, when typing becomes difficult, speech recognition is something that people often turn to, but if your voice is not strong enough, or it's too raspy or whatever, or if you're using breathing support and the speech recognition is picking it up, sometimes using a smaller keyboard with a stylus or a mouth stick is a good alternative. And also sometimes when you're communicating with other people, you're venting, and you don't want to be venting about your caregiver when your caregiver's in earshot. So this gives you that privacy of being able to type just on a smaller surface, so it's less tiring. Okay, go ahead.
Talking about when your voice is really you don't have the strength in your voice. This is a voice amplifier. There's a number of different ones we have here, and can put the microphone right near you where you can amplify your voice enough so other people can hear you. There's different ones. We have another one that actually has it just the mic is on your neck. I find that actually one myself very comfortable.
And I hate that thing. So it's very individualized. This one was actually designed for people whose voices are extremely soft. As you can tell, it's quite a bit bigger than the others, and the microphone is quite a bit bigger. So for somebody whose voice is very, very soft, this is a good option. This is also intended to be used by people who need to project their voice. So if you're outside, if you're a coach, If you're yelling at your kids, this is a larger option. Now, all of the voice amplifiers may be covered by a program called the Telecommunications Equipment Purchase Program, or TEP. And as an individual with ALS, you are eligible to use a TEP voucher for mobility or speech. So we've had quite a few folks getting interesting stuff through the TEP program. And most recently, I'm going to go right here. We have kind of fallen in love with the Mogo mount system. It's a modular system that has a number of pieces, like this happens to be a desk piece. And here I have connected it to a bendable steel rod. And I can attach a cell phone mount to this. And now I can put a cell phone in a position that I can use. This one is using a detachable desk lamp and modular hose attached to just a regular clamp. The thing that we really like about the Mogo system is you can build it as you need it, and you can buy each component of it individually. We bought their entire line of products. So if you're considering using a mounting system, we encourage you to try it with us. We did find that the Mogo can handle pretty much any tablet device. It does not do terribly well with computers and communication devices because they're too heavy.
The other thing it runs into sometimes is, depending on how much support, how far out you're going with the connecting device, like a water bottle can start getting pretty heavy too. I mean, if you keep it short, it does work better, but this is something where the water bottle could be attached, and you can actually bend this around to get the water bottle right where it's within reach of the person. And it is a neat thing, but you just have to watch how far out you have to get.
Now this water bottle, tell me when I have it, and I'm looking at this thing right there. Okay, this has a one-way valve. So when you suck the water into the straw, this valve prevents it from going back into the water bottle. So it keeps the water right here, which is wonderful if you're having issues with suction. So we purchased it with this, and this is something that is available to try for anybody who's struggling with hydration. Unfortunately, this one does have a rather small straw, so you couldn't use it for instance, pureed food, but you could do thickened liquids with this as well.
Number of different options for holding up things like tablets and computers and stuff like that. This is actually something that can be actually easily made. This is actually made out of a political sign, but it's just basically a corrugated sign that is made into a little stand, and you put your iPad or tablet on there, and these can be made in all different sizes and shapes and stuff like that to do the situation. And it can be done on an extremely tight budget.
Yeah. This one is, it's called a Beesign computer holder. And it's the first time I've ever gotten a mounting system device like this that I needed to assemble. So I pulled it out of the box when we were setting this session up, and yeah, we needed to put it together before we could use it. That was kind of surprising.
This one does not tilt or anything. It's strictly got that much movement up and down. That's it. There's this one here,
That's the Brocone.
Brocon, or however it's pronounced. But this is, again, tablet holder. But this one does take actually a fair amount of effort to move it. But it is quite adjustable where you can get it. You need it, close to straight up and down, or you want it pretty much flat. It is adjustable, just as pretty stiff, at least. I don't know if it gets looser. Again, another item we just recently got.
Then the last one is this one. It's called a tab lift. I'm trying to get it so that all of the stuff around here is not interfering with the tab lift. It looks kind of like a partially disembodied spider, but what this is intended to do is for somebody who's using their tablet in bed. This is supposed to straddle the person and hold the tablet if the person is laying fairly flat. So personally, I have a little bit more of a belly than this thing will accommodate. So I would like to have seen it a little longer, the legs a little longer, but it is something that might be useful for some people. And all of these devices, the Mogo system, the two computer and tablet devices that we just showed you, might be covered by the TEP program as a mobility, on the mobility voucher. TEP is designed to let people communicate at a distance. So it can cover phones, it can cover the voice amplifiers that we were just talking about. It can cover mounting systems that can bring your technology to you so that you can communicate at a distance. So it's looking at Zoom type communication, long distance phone calls and that kind of thing. Anybody have any questions?
Maggie.
I have to comment that we tried a particular stand that was up to 5 feet tall for our phone and tablet. It was too lightweight at the base. We bought $179 Levo, Levo, a Levo that wheels around the house. I use it in many different positions.
It's very, the Levo is similar to what Mark is holding right now. It is what is actually holding the tablet that we are doing the presentation on today.
This does have, like you're talking about, it's pretty lightweight and stuff like that. I don't know how well this one would work. We were just given this recently.
Yeah. We're actually not real happy with the performance on that one. And I agree with you, Maggie. I like the Levo, and the Levo also can swing over
It's your side thing.
a bed so that you can use it when you're looking up.
You miss it when it's.
Yeah, it has multiple height adjustments and it can lean down or up.
Here, I'm gonna jostle you guys a little bit. I'm gonna take my iPad out of here so you can see exactly what Maggie's talking about. So this is the Levo stand.
Surprised she can even lift it up. Oh, sorry.
So it goes up pretty high. So Mark is about 5'10", so you can see how high it could go. It goes down pretty low. And then the arm swings and then the pad holder rotates. So this was designed for people, not for people with disabilities. This was not ever intended to be a disability accommodation. It's just a really well-designed piece of equipment.
Huh.
It's probably one of our favorite tablet devices.
I love it and use it all day.
Yep, I would agree with you.
Cindy, will that be on your list of items that you send out to me?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, the Levo has appreciated in price with the pandemic, so it's probably closer to 200 now, but yeah, that's a good one. Mark, do you want to go down to the back cave and turn on the iPad down there?
It was on, but let's see if it still is.
The camera isn't. Dean, you want to give him a hand?
Sure.
I'm going to take you folks over here while they're doing that and do a couple other things. These are furniture risers. And for somebody who's still using standard furniture, sometimes you can get up easier if you are not sitting on all the way down. So furniture risers come in 2, 4, and 6 inch rising increments of rising. And then the other thing is right next to it here is just some ideas about things you can do with safety tapes. But again, if you have a ramp outside and it's slippery, especially with winter coming up, they can get a little slippery when they're wet. Just some safety tapes are some things that you can get at a hardware store that might make you a lot safer. So Mark, are you ready to go?
Yeah. Welcome to the Bat Cave. This is a room that actually used to be called the training bathroom. We refer to it now as the Bat Cave because it has bathroom assistive technology, which also we had a little fun with it because actually the Christopher Reeves Foundation helped pay for a number of the things in here. So Superman helped pay for the Bat Cave. But this has a number of things, again, for you to see. Most items in here can't be loaded up because of hygiene reasons, but they can still be tried or seen how they work. But there's a number of things in here that we have things like this bathing lift that this would be something that somebody could sit on this. And then it's an air pump system and the air off because of time I'm not going all the way up. When you fully deflate this, you have the full length and width of the bathtub. It is battery operated and it has a pump. And it actually, if the battery is not charged up enough, it will literally not let you down. That's the safety built into it. There's a number of items in here also. We have things like the toilet safety frame to help somebody support getting up from the toilet. There's different types of frames. This one is actually portable, it can actually be folded up. So if you wanted to actually go to somebody else's house, you can fold this up and take it with you. It's kind of a neat little setup. There's other ones. This one physically would attach where the toilet seat did, and it gives you that support too, but this is attached to the toilet.
With screws, right, Mark?
Pardon me?
Just a few screws will attach that?
Just a few screws.
Yeah, it's just the two same bolts that hold the toilet seat up.
So it's pretty simple for someone to put on.
Yeah, if you could change a toilet seat, you can put that on.
Thanks.
If changing a toilet seat is too complicated, it may be something, more than you can do. It depends on the individual person, but it is not something that's real complicated.
Mark, can you address the Bemis system, please? The Bemis toilet seat?
This is the Bemis that Cindy was talking about. This is again attached the same to as your regular toilet. So this would be the idea where you put that other unit in here in between and put your toilet seat back on. But this one, what this toilet seat does is instead of the plastic toilet risers that you see a lot of. This brings you up 2 or 3 inches, but it firmly attaches to the toilet, so it doesn't do the shifting that the plastic ones do. We have had known a number of people to get seriously injured on the plastic ones because they do not hold in place, no matter how much you try and tighten it. They still can shift. But this one, those have to be taken off for cleaning. This one, you can just fold it up out of the way, and it's easy to clean and just stays right in place.
One thing I really want to emphasize is the add-on toilet risers have a tendency to be pretty dangerous. They slip, they don't stay tight. And when people fall in the bathroom, the falls are usually fairly catastrophic because everything around you is hard floor, hard surfaces. So we have just seen over and over and over again over the years that add-on toilet risers don't stay put. They slip. So if you're using one, make sure you check it at least once a week to make sure that it is firmly in place. But we always recommend the Bemis as an alternative because it can't slip. It's $99 for a Bemis toilet seat, and it's about $250,000 for a fall that results in surgical intervention. So kind of a good cost savings.
Give you an idea on how well those things stay attached. I don't have one of those here, but this is a handle that's intended to be a support getting in and out of the toilet tub. This, no matter how much I tighten this, I can still slip it right off. And that's the same basic thing. No matter how much you tighten those, they really don't stay very tight, and they are dangerous. They have to be used with extreme caution.
Yeah, and never trust your safety to a suction cup grab bar, ever, ever, ever. If you remember nothing else, please do not ever trust your safety to a suction cup grab bar.
But we do have a lot of different items in here that people can see and try. Different transfer benches for getting in and out of the tub area. There's a lot of things we don't still have time to go over everything right now, but we do encourage you, if you're looking at stuff like this, contact us and set up an appointment. You can come down and see some of this stuff in person. Again, like Cindi was saying, we do have a mandatory mask requirement, but it is something that to see it, physically try it, to find out if it's going to work for you is really a big part of what we're here for.
Okay, the last room we want to show you real quick is Mark and Dean, if you want to come down. Let me see if I can do this. Okay, this is called the Tip Center. And what we did is we put together a room that has all sorts of different things that people who are new to disability may find helpful. And I'm going to make you guys all real dizzy for a second while I rotate this. Okay, this is not working out well. Hold on just 1 second there.
On here. Whoa.
Leaving the meeting. All right. So we put this room together during the pandemic because we found that people who were new to disability were not necessarily getting good information about hospital beds, about all sorts of different options. We were seeing people that were being discharged from the hospital literally with call Independence First. They'll tell you what you need. So we got kind of frustrated with that and we put together this room. So the showpiece of this room is actually this lift. It's very similar in concept to the one that you saw at the beginning, but this is called an orbit lift. And this lift has an arm that can rotate. It can rotate 360 degrees. We just happen to have a need to mount it against the wall, so it can only do 180. But this lift is wonderful, again, for supporting caregivers and letting somebody get up and out of bed easily. Typically, they recommend that it be mounted about where I'm standing next to the bed so that you can get your full 360. But again, because we don't have a solid ceiling in this room, we had to put in a drop ceiling so that we could support that lift, which is why it's where it is.
And the drop ceiling, for practical purposes, had to stop so we could still have the lights in the ceiling. So it didn't really limit where we could do it. So we ended up with it against the wall, definitely limiting its usage here.
Yeah. Now, this was another thing I stumbled across quite by accident, but you know, a lot of folks who have the higher mattresses have a hard time getting in bed. This is actually a step and grab bar for getting into bed. And it has a little light attached to the bottom that's motion activated. So if you have to get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, the light comes on and shines down to the floor, so it doesn't cause that night blindness.
Move your right leg up. Pick your right leg up. The light is lit right now.
Can't see it. Now, could you change the height of that as time goes on? Make it lower for yourself or higher?
It's looks like it is slightly height adjustable, but maybe only an inch or two.
Okay.
There is a nut down here, and it looks like you can lower it, but I don't think you can raise it very much.
But
Thank
that's,
you.
A while ago now, I don't remember if there was one more adjustment up or not, but there isn't a lot of adjustment on there.
Yeah. But it's 4 inches and it brings you 4 inches closer to your mattress. So for some folks, that is a good thing. Now, the other thing that we did is we collected, just a whole bunch of things. Hydration is a huge problem for a lot of folks. So with this one, we have different options for staying well hydrated, including water bottles that tell you how much you've drank throughout the day. This is actually how much we're supposed to drink in a day. I tried using this at the onset. I have kidney failure, and I started trying to use it at the onset of kidney failure. This was too intimidating. I was looking at this and I was like, I'm never going to finish that. So they make a less intimidating one that you just have to drink 2 of throughout the day. This one can drape over your hand. So if you're having trouble holding on to it, you can do that. This one is for people who can't tip their head back. It's got a cutout for your nose, so you can drink small sips of things and not have to throw your head back. These two are really annoying. This one glows if it's been too long since you had last had something to drink. This one actually nags you auditorily to drink something. So both of these water bottles will come after you if you don't drink enough. So for those of us who have hydration issues, you can have as much or as little support as you want.
I don't need support from my cup, I don't think, Cindy.
I do. I despise drinking. And when the kidney failure started and the doctor said, you've got to drink 64 ounces a day, I was like, oh my God, I can't. So they were really helpful. Those devices were extremely helpful for getting me into the habit of drinking enough. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you really quickly, because we're getting near time here, is this room is also our TEP room. So I was talking about that funding source that people can use for distance-related communication. This cabinet over here contains equipment that can be used to support speech and some equipment that can use to support mobility. So what we have up here are different types of Amazon devices and then the Facebook portal. And we learned a lot. At the beginning of the pandemic, we went to a bunch of trainings and they kept saying how wonderful the Amazon devices were in the Facebook portal, how great they were and how helpful they were. So we went out and bought some and we did find some limitations. The Facebook portal does let you cover up the camera so you can guarantee your privacy because you can obstruct the camera. The thing we found that was very, very limiting about the Facebook portal is that it will only allow phone calls or communication with people that you are friends with on Facebook. So if your doctor is in your Facebook directory, you can receive a call from a doctor's office. But as most of you know, doctors no longer make their own phone calls. A lot of doctors now have services to make reminder phone calls, etc. And you have no idea where this is coming from. And if your Facebook portal is your only way of communicating, you're not going to be getting those reminders. We also took a look at all the different types of Alexa devices, and I do actually really like the Echo Show. And this is the newest Echo Show, and it actually will rotate so that it can follow you as you move around. I do like that, but the Echo has to be connected to a cell phone account. So when my mother was discharged from the hospital, moved into a nursing home, we got Echo. Well, she's actually in assisted living, and we got her an Echo so that we could make sure that she hadn't fallen or something. And she doesn't own a cell phone. She prefers an older style phone. So we had to hook her into my phone and my account, which means she's operating off of my directory. So she can make all the phone calls she wants, but I had to make sure that her entire contact list was in my phone because that's what the Echo is tapping into. So there is a little bit of a
You could do
downside.
that at a distance.
Pardon me?
No, excuse us, sorry.
She was shushing her friend.
So the Amazon devices do have an awful lot of potential. I was talking to a vendor who sets up home automation, and they said out of all of the platforms that are currently available, they do prefer the Amazon devices. They seem to have the most R&D behind them. They seem to have the most options. And there's a lot you can do. But one of the other things that we did is over here, we bought a television and we put it on top of a cabinet full of devices for hearing loss. So that cabinet has all different devices that you can use to compensate for hearing loss. But we wanted to get the Amazon Echo to control the television, and it requires, we didn't realize at first that it requires actually a second hub in order to have full TV control. So by itself, the Echo can only turn on the mute, turn off the mute, and turn off the television. So you do need additional equipment to operate your television with it. But we have seen some really creative stuff coming out of folks with ALS who use communication devices to communicate with voice-activated environmental controls and then run their TV using a communication device through the Amazon Echo. So if you're working with Pranky Romick or Toby Dynavox for any communication equipment, that is something you can talk to them about, is making sure that their equipment is able to operate your environmental control system. And then you can do things like caregiver alerts, bed controls, television control, air conditioner control, that kind of thing, by using the communication device to activate the voice activated environmental controls.
How things have changed, huh, Cindy, since you first started doing this?
Oh, man, when I first started doing this, yeah, there wasn't any of this.
Right.
So there, I guess what the takeaway from today is that, what I'd really like you to take away from today is that there's options. There are a lot of options. No matter what it is you're trying to do, there's probably a piece of technology out there that can help you. Whether or not it's funded is another matter.
And how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Some things are reasonable price,
Mhm.
other things are extremely expensive and they become just cost prohibitive for most people.
But the list that I'm going to be sending to Mary will contain whatever funding sources might be able to pay for any of this. What I didn't include on that list, and I will, is the VA. Anybody who has VA benefits may be able to get actually far more assistive technology than you can through any other funding source. So if you do have VA benefits, please approach the VA if there's something that you're really interested in obtaining and see if they can possibly fund it for you. Are there any questions?
That was perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, Joy's got a question, I think.
Yeah.
What is your address?
Our
And
address,
phone number?
Independence First, is 540 South First Street. So we're
So-
down, we're between National Avenue and the Public Market on First Street.
And I can include that too with my stuff.
Okay, and a phone number, please.
My phone number direct is 414-226-8385.
Thank you.
We do request an appointment because I'm not always here, and even quite a few of us, we're a busy group. So if you make an appointment, we will make sure you get all the time and attention you deserve.
Thank you.
Any other
Thanks,
questions?
Cindy. Oh,
I have a question for Mary and Angie after the presentation.
okay.